What's up, Star Wars fans? My name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte. And I got a question for you. Did Pablo Hidalgo accidentally let out some leaks or some secrets about Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, over the weekend? Is there going to be a Skywalker twin reunion? Has Captain Phasma's true face been revealed to us? And is there more than meets the eye regarding Admiral Holdo and DJ, the character being played by Benicio Del Toro in Episode 8? Okay, so if you didn't hear, over the weekend there were several Comic-Con events, one of them down in Chile where Pablo Hidalgo spoke. There was another one in London where Donnie Yen and Scott Adkins appeared. I'm going to be doing a video on some of the things Scott Adkins talked about in the London Comic-Con because he talked a lot about this movie Triple Threat that I've been covering. Also, shout outs to Ron Smorenberg. He's an amazing martial artist who is actually playing in the Triple Threat movie. He emailed me after he saw the video that I did on Triple Threat, and he gave me a little bit more information on the movie, so I'll have another video probably later in the week on that movie Triple Threat. But anyway, you guys are here for Star Wars stuff, right? So like I said, there was a Comic-Con event down in Chile. If you didn't know, Pablo and I think his wife Kristen are both Chilean, even though Pablo's from Canada, or at least born in Canada. And there was a lot of confusion about a comment that Pablo Hidalgo made during his 30-minute panel where he appeared to say that Luke and Leia will have scenes together in Episode 8. Now, that's really been the big story on a number of websites. You can hop over to StarWarsNewsNet.com and check out the full article on that, and they broke it down. There was a lot of stuff going back and forth on Twitter and Reddit and people recording, and there's a video floating around out there of what Pablo Hidalgo said. I'm really not all that interested in that. Yeah, there's possibly going to be a reunion between Luke and Leia. It would make sense that Leia may go to Ach-To to see Luke and the first Jedi Temple and the inhabitants of Ach-To, the people who have been keeping the temple up, who live in those little stone huts, right? What I'm more interested in is that Pablo Hidalgo said that we will see the face of Captain Phasma in The Last Jedi, and she won't look like the pictures of Gwendolyn Christie that were in Vanity Fair. So if you haven't seen my video on Captain Phasma Unmasked, I think I did a video last month. It was based on something that happened in one of the Poe Dameron comic books. It was 2 issues ago. We got introduced to this character, Malaris, right? And that was supposed to wrap up the storyline involving Agent Terex, this ISB agent working for the First Order. He was a stormtrooper who survived the Battle of Jakku. Hardcore person wanting to bring back the Empire, but in the process he became a crime lord. He started a gang, and then he was recruited by the First Order as he saw them as the key to restoring order to the galaxy, bringing back the Empire, right? So this Malaris officer within the First Order meets with Poe Dameron, takes Terex at the end of that issue, and then as we move forward, right, the next issue, Terex is meeting with Captain Phasma in her chrome armor, and then the end of that issue, we see that Terex has been implanted with some kind of computer device or something to make him more docile, in a sense, to make him no longer disobey the orders of Supreme Leader Snoke and Kylo Ren, right? So the next issue of the Poe Dameron comic book, we see Malaris again, and in this issue, look, this chick is working out, but there's something weird going on with her face, right? She's got a black eye, and then she's got like a red eye, right? And I have no idea what the deal is with this chick's eyes, but she appears to be very tall, very strong. You see the muscles coming through her First Order officer's uniform. And Captain Phasma, like I said in other videos, that chrome armor is ceremonial. She should be wearing a uniform much like General Hux, right? She's an actual officer within the First Order. She should have an administrative position. So we have to start to wonder, is there more than meets the eye when it comes to Captain Phasma? And like I said in that other video, originally Captain Phasma was just, was not going to be a big player in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. The Chrome Stormtrooper design was actually one of the prototypes for the Jedi Killer who became Kylo Ren. You know, they said, what if we have this cool looking Stormtrooper and he's carrying a lightsaber and he's hunting for Jedi, right? Kathleen Kennedy liked the design, said, let's put it in the movie. Gwendolyn Christie reached out to them wanting to be in the movie, and you know, they were using all these actors from Game of Thrones, and she became Captain Phasma. That's why Captain Phasma really didn't have a big part in Episode 7. Rian Johnson has been tasked with fleshing out the character more in Episode 8. There is a Captain Phasma book coming out in the fall that would flesh her out, and this Poe Dameron comic book appears to be fleshing out the story, in addition to introducing us to Terex and possibly unmasking Captain Phasma, which is something I'm gonna have to, that's something that's gonna keep me reading. The most recent issue also appears to, or the most recent issues, it's not the most, it was the one before this last issue to come out. Leia is appearing to pass on leadership to Poe Dameron. I don't know if that's something that was in the cards from the beginning, or if that's something that was recently written in due to the passing of Carrie Fisher. Rest in peace, Princess. Now, the other thing that I thought was interesting is Pablo Hidalgo's comments about DJ Benicio Del Toro's character and Vice Admiral Hold. He says we should not trust those characters and their appearances can deceive. Now, my personal thoughts are that Vice Admiral Hold, like we were told that she is a resistance officer. I think that she is a New Republic officer who comes to join the resistance, right? I think that whoever reported that, if it was in Vanity Fair, no offense to them, but I think they may have gotten that wrong. That's just my thoughts. You know, I don't know how much these reporters are really following everything. Anthony Bresnikan over at Entertainment Weekly, as far as reporters go for these big magazines and websites and whatnot, he seems to be the guy who is on top of everything, right? So if it's not coming from Anthony Bresnikan and it's not Star Wars News or Making Star Wars, one of those people, right? The media, you know, I don't know how much I can trust what they say, because, you know, not to say they aren't good reporters, you know, these are journalists, they're professionals, but I just don't think that they're reading Star Wars everything, right? So I had a video last summer, like last year this time, where I thought that Laura Dern could be playing Carice Sindian. I don't think the ages match up, but I just really had this feeling that she could be another character similar to Carice Sindian. If you haven't read Bloodline, Carice Sindian is actually who exposed Leia, right? She found out that Leia is the daughter of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. She told it, and it all came out to the Senate. That's why Leia was blackballed, no longer a senator, and that's what freed her up to start the resistance at the end of the Bloodline novel. Sorry to those, because somebody's going to say, Prince, you just spoiled the book for me. But you know, it's been out a year. You should still go ahead and read it, because you should still see how all of that uncovered, and you'll get introduced to some new characters. And some cool names. Ren Riven Die, to me, is one of the coolest Star Wars names to come out in a long time, right? Ren Riven Die, that's a cool name. The Nitko Cartel. Read all about how the Nitko Cartel rose and fell, and how Leia was given the name Hutt Slayer, right? No longer Leia in the slave costume, it's Hutt Slayer. Right? So if I ever mess with a chick at a Star Wars convention and she's in that that Tatooine costume, right? She's got to go by the name Hut Slayer, right? Slay some huts. I got a hut you can slay. This video is no longer kid friendly. Anyway, my question for you is, why should we not trust Vice Admiral Holdo and DJ, right? We know that DJ's got to have some First Order ties. He's the one that's helping Finn and Rose infiltrate the First Order when they meet with him on Canto Bight. At least that's what I think. But what about Vice Admiral Holdo? Is she a mole for the First Order? Is she actually one of these First Order sympathizers, right? A centrist who was posing within the New Republic, possibly the Resistance, as a friend, but she's actually a foe? That's something we're gonna have to look out for. You know, we heard about Leia may be injured and she might use the Force, and there's an argument with Vice Admiral Holdo. Could it be that Leia at some point discovers the truth about Vice Admiral Holdo? They have a confrontation, and that's where that whole assassination attempt comes into play that was rumored. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, you guys, let me know your thoughts down below about, you know what, if you're really interested in this whole meetup between Luke and Leia. I'm really not that interested in that. I'm more interested in Captain Phasma unmasked. Is she Malaris? And what's up with that red eye and the black eye, right? And I'm not talking about a black eye like she got smacked up by General Hux and Kylo Ren. I mean, like the color of her eyes. One was red and one is black in the comic book, right? That was the first time I saw it, I thought maybe that was just the way the person drew it or something, you know? But then they like have made it more pronounced in this last issue that came out. So what if you want to talk on that, what's the deal with Malaris's eyes? Do you think that is Phasma? And why would she want to hide her identity, right? So things we've gotta wonder about. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll be checking back to see what you all have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Go ahead and make the commitment towards becoming a superhero of your own story and become a force for change in your community. Like I said, I've got some videos coming out on Triple Threat based on what Scott Adkins said at London Comic-Con and what Ron Smorenberg told me in an email, and I know he'll be looking for that updated video. I've also got a few more videos on some other martial arts movies that I have coming out, and stay tuned, those of you who are fans of the Old Republic. I'm going to do a video on this Old Republic petition that's been going around. The originators of the petition sent me an email and asked me if I would talk about it. So I'm going to give my thoughts on that. And the Old Republic machinima project that I started last summer, stopped, and have restarted will be starting in June, so stay tuned for that. I don't know what days I'm going to do those videos. I thought about starting them on Saturdays, but I might do Wednesdays because Saturday is not really a good day, but who knows, maybe I'll post them Wednesdays and Saturdays. So anyway, stay tuned for all of that. We got plenty of Star Wars and plenty of Star Wars. Believe me, I got probably I've got at least 40 Star Wars videos that I'm trying to get out between now and the end of August, and that's just stuff I have planned, not even new stuff, right? So like I said, plenty of Star Wars and lots of martial arts stuff for you martial arts fans. And Roberto Blake talked about me dash geekdom and himself starting a new channel where we'll talk about Game of Thrones and all kinds of other geek stuff. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with that, but it'll be like a super channel of Star Wars and Dragon Ball geeks and everything else. So yeah, plenty of stuff to look forward to this summer. Anyway, I keep on talking when I should be ending this video. So thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you always.